Good morning. This is Frank Coyle from Pointit in Seattle. I'd like to welcome you to our webinar this morning, SEO 201, the goods. Hopefully we can deliver something real good to you today. With me is Marjorie Spears, our Senior SEO Client Manager. Marjorie, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good, Frank. How are you?
Doing great. Still basking in the Seattle sunshine?
Yeah, we have to enjoy it while we can.
Yeah, so for anybody who is outside of Seattle and believes that it just rains up here, we've
Welcome to GoToWebinar, web events made easy.
Just before we start, I'm going to have a couple of logistics. First of all, we will be recording this, so if you have to step out, if you know anyone who would be interested in this, we will be sending you an email later in the week with a recording of it. Feel free to forward it to anyone you know. Pointit, we've been around since 2002. We're Seattle's oldest search marketing agency. Last year, we managed over $30 million in media spend in pay-per-click, and we focus on both search engine optimization, which you'll hear more about today, and also pay-per-click. Our clients range from large and small across multiple industries, from the likes of Microsoft and Cisco down to smaller businesses. We can help pretty much everyone who's doing search engine marketing. Well, where do we come from before today? A few months back, we had SEO 101, and today is basically carrying on from there. It's beyond the basics. So by this time, you've done your keyword research, you've done your on-page factors, such as putting keywords in titles, URLs, alt text, etc. You've improved your site so the spiders can crawl all over it. Not a very pretty thought, but there we go. So the question is, well, now what? So Marjorie, you're going to be leading a lot of this presentation this morning. So what have you got on the plate for us? And just before you start, I'm going to pass keyboard control over to you. So take us away.
Well, today we're going to follow on to these SEO basics, and we're going to talk about how you can build trust and authority in your own domain, how you can distribute your very excellent web content, and how you can use your web analytics program to track and judge the success and the appropriateness of your SEO tactics. We're also going to talk a little bit about how you can keep your SEO skills honed and cutting edge in this industry, which changes so rapidly. And then at the very end, we're going to put up some links to selected resources. And if you get the deck later on, you don't have to worry about writing them down hurriedly. And of course, we'll have some question and answer time at the end.
Marjorie, can I just jump in there? You mentioned questions. I just want everyone on the webinar to know that on the GoToMeeting panel in the right-hand side, there is a place where you can enter questions. Feel free to enter them. We'll take them all at the end most likely, or if there's a couple that are really relevant, we'll deal with them in the middle of it. But your questions will be answered. No fears on that. Okay, Marjorie, the three most important factors are?
Okay, so after you've done your basic SEO, now you get to turn your attention to building links that will increase the trust and authority in your site. Also, building links that will increase the link popularity of your pages. And by that I mean just the sheer number that come to your pages. And these would be different pages throughout your site, not just your home page. And using the targeted keywords in your inbound links. And these are the business-critical keywords that you want to rank for. These are the factors that are included in an estimated 67% of the Google algorithm. Trust and authority determination alone comprises about a quarter of the Google algorithm, and that's where you can really reap rewards. And all of these factors can be influenced through deliberately campaigning for inbound links to your site. So how do you improve the trust in your domain? Well, like in the real social world, it's who you know. So if you have a website and whitehouse.gov is linking to your website, well, because whitehouse.gov is really a great old age domain with a lot of trust and a lot of inbound links from other quality sites, well, just by sheer inference alone, that must mean that any website that it's linking to, particularly yours, is really also a very good site. Now, if your crazy Aunt Sally wants to link to your website in her blog about how to create afternoon teas, well, that's great too, but that probably doesn't do you a whole lot of good. Now, if the local mafia don in your neighborhood has a very old, trusted website and he wants to link to you, well, maybe that's not such a good thing to do.
Well, wouldn't this be a kind of making you a link you can't refuse?
He might also want to break your news if you don't accept it.
Yeah,
So.
that's true. Yeah. So the idea is to, for example, look at some of your partners, the ones who are more established, the ones that have been around a while. Getting links from them is kind of the first priority.
Absolutely. And it's not only who links to you, but how are the links spread throughout the web world. If you have one website that's really friendly to you and you have 10 links coming from them, that's not as good as having 10 different unaffiliated domains linking to your website with even just one link apiece.
But it is a good thing, if you can, to have multiple links coming in from a given website, because then they can target different pages within your site instead of just all coming to the home page.
Absolutely. It's not a bad thing. You just want to balance out that heavy emphasis on one website with others. And how do you monitor this? Well, SEO Tools has a great free tool that I like, and I use this myself, called Link Harvester. SEO Moz has another. There are others out there that you can use. Or you can simply use the advanced search operators. And this only works in Yahoo right now. This doesn't work very well in Google, and don't try it in Bing. If you type in link domain : and then your site domain, and you subtract the site, that will give you a good idea of who's linking to you. And then if you type in INURL, which is in URL : you could filter for the type of domain that's linking to you, .gov, .mil, .com, any of those, or you could get really, really sophisticated and do them all at once by typing in .gov and .mil and .edu, and you can really be effective that way.
But the easiest thing is just to go to SEO Tools. Is it SEOtools.com? And then use the link harvester? Yeah. Okay, perfect.
Yes,
good.
That's really a good thing to use. Now, as you're asking for links from all these different domains and all these different unaffiliated websites, you can request that they use a particular anchor text. And you would want to use your keywords in this anchor text and make it appropriate for the page that you're targeting. If you know what page on the website and where on the page, simply ask the webmaster to do that. And you can even supply the code. For instance, this example here shows maybe some possible ways to build for a blog on the Pointed site that's called the Top 10 SEO Myths. So instead of just saying link to Pointed and linking to the home page, you would link directly to that blog, and you would use those keywords in the text there.
So, Marjorie, can we just kind of bring it up to the surface a bit here? So, let's suppose let's talk about keyword selection. Which ones am I going after? What's your approach?
I would do a lot of keyword research. In the very first approaches to my website, I would target keywords that are appropriate and relevant to the top.
And that are converting. So keywords that you've already seen, maybe you've run some pay-per-click campaigns and you've seen that certain keywords are actually converting into leads or into sales. You'd want to be using those in the anchor text for these links.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You would also use those same words, maybe in different ways. when you post in forums or blogs. And, of course, those would be blogs that don't apply the new follow tag. The no follow tag, for those who don't know, allows visitors to click that link and go to the website. It tells spiders not to follow that link, and therefore you don't get the same value to the search engines as you would otherwise. And make sure that you target the page directly. Don't just send your user to the home page and hope that they will bang around your site and find something useful.
What if you had 20 partners? Take this case here where the top end SEO missed by point. Let's suppose we had 20 partner sites. We wanted to have a link coming in. Are you going to use that same keyword phrase with all of those 20, or what are you going to do with that?
Well, you need to make it appropriate, and you can mix it up a little bit.
Okay.
The less you look like a link builder, the better it goes.
Okay.
Directories are a little bit basic, but I have to emphasize it's a very effective way to build trust. dmoz.org is still an old, highly trusted directory. It's very difficult to get in it anymore because it's run by volunteer editors. But if you wanted to volunteer your time as an editor, you could find that very rewarding. Yahoo directory, I hope, will still be around after Microsoft merges with Yahoo. It also is a very old, trusted directory. It's a little pricey. It's $300 a year. But you have to determine yourself if this would be a good thing for you to spend your money on. And you can look at a number of factors, like is there a category in the Yahoo directory that's relevant to your product or service, and then see how deep is the directory listing page that you want to go on. And, excuse me, and if it's very far away from the root, then it might not be a good choice for you. And you can also look at what is the page rank of that listing page. And does it drive traffic? And the only way you're going to find out that is if you actually list it. Wikipedia.org is amazingly popular still, and even though they put no follows on their outbound links, you can still drive a whole lot of traffic to your site. There was a little tiny footnote that I applied to an existing article, and it was just a niche topic in some far corner of Wikipedia. And I was getting about 42 visits in a 6-month period from that little tiny footnote. So it's worth looking at what you can do to contribute to Wikipedia. Even though it's not a directory, you could add images. You could upload that to the Commons. You could improve articles that are already there. And I see that a lot of people now are adding company profiles. And, of course, you would want to do that about your company or your product or something that you have a great deal of knowledge about. And then maybe put some references in the bottom of the footnote to your own website. And then there's lots of others out there like Best of the Web, Joanne, Jade. They just need to be well trusted.
Hey, Marjorie, while we're in the heart of link country here, we actually did get a flurry of questions, and I think it'd probably be good to answer them at this point just before we move forward. One question was, how do you know what sites are linking to you?
Well, that's very easily done. You could search for Yahoo Site Explorer, and that is a tool that will show you what sites are linking to. You simply go to Yahoo Site Explorer and put in your domain, and it will show you how many pages are listed in Yahoo and how many sites are linking to you that are included in the Yahoo database.
And also many of the tools do provide you that ability as well. Which brings there was a quick question on, is there advantage of using one link research tool over the other, such as SEO Moz versus SEO tools versus the search engine?
Oh, everybody has their favorite. If you try several, you'll find one that really suits you and you find comfortable, and you'll generally stick with that.
And I mean, at the basic level, they all provide the same kind of information. They'll check the title tags. They'll check some of them will give you information on links. So yeah, try them out. But I think you'll see there's a lot of similarity between them all. Now, one person asked about getting great partners. I think we'll deal with that a little bit later on because I know you touched on that in blogging. And so let's move forward from there, Marjorie. Thanks.
Okay. So how do you find authoritative sources? You need to know who is authoritative, who is a great influencer in your area, in your topical area, and not only websites, but who are the people who can be influential in your area? Dr. Phil, if Dr. Phil wanted to be a guest blogger on your psychology-related site, well, that would be great. And Dr. Phil would more than likely write in his blog that he's going to be guest blogging on your blog and provide a link to it. If you had a baseball-related blog or a website, you could get probably not Ichiro, but some other baseball-related person to be a guest blogger. And you would know if you had a baseball site or blog that baseball.com is a very authoritative site, and you could target that site and try to get them to link in to your site.
Could you just kind of walk us through the step, or maybe a recommendation as to how we get someone to link to us? I mean, we're not Dr. Phil or Ichiro, but you know, Joe Smith down the street, who I know has got a great business that's somewhat related to us. How do we approach them? How do we improve our chances of getting that link?
If you're able to find out who the webmaster is, or find out some marketing contacts, and you can use their About Us link to find people to write to or call or go to your local library. Whois.com contains a lot of registration information that you can look at. And you can write to the webmaster or the marketing contact, or phone them and be polite and ask how we could get together, and maybe they'll want a reciprocal link, maybe they'll want you to pay for the link. You might also advertise on their site. There might be something that...
What I found worked is to personalize the email. Don't just send out a template. Also, you know, show a genuine interest in their site. You know, I've had success in getting links where I've actually commented on their site, how appropriate it is, how good it is, etc., and that makes them respond. Keep in mind that some of these webmasters are getting, well, first of all, they've got to do their daily job. Secondly, they're probably getting a lot of requests to link. Yours has got to stand out somewhat. So just by having that personal effect in it, or personal touch, you dramatically improve your likelihood of getting the link. The other thing is be persistent, and I don't mean spam the guy, but just because he doesn't respond to you right away doesn't mean he is a no. Try him back in a few weeks, because like I said, you know, there's a lot of other things on his or her plate that, you know, and linking isn't necessarily the top priority for them. So come back every so often, and that will improve your chances.
That's really good advice, Frank. And also be aware that if this is a very authoritative resource, then they know it. They know the value of their on-site. So you're going to have to wine and dine them a little bit. Now, another way to be creative is to put widgets on your site. Oh, you all remember the old countdown to Election Day widgets that were everywhere. They were on websites. They were on blogs. People have taken this a step further, and it doesn't have to be on a website. I've got this time zone clock on my desktop, and when I click it, it goes to a web page where I can find out the times in other time zones. And that's very, very useful. So you want to have something that's very, very useful, will link to your site, and like this Countdown to Election Day widget, it's got the URL right there as an advertisement. But my favorite is this Monroe Shocks and Struts traffic widget. So this shows you that the widget doesn't even have to be related to your product. This is a wonderful use of a widget. Their mascot is a squirrel, so they have links. When you click on this widget, it not only shows you traffic, but you can go to their website where they have fun videos about squirrels. They've got games. They've got downloads. Oh, and just by the way, there's a little more information about Monroe products and promotions. It's all great advertising, and it's fun too.
You know, we've got a client who is building a calculator for enterprise storage, and you know, they're going to put that on their website, but it's also something that's going to be really useful to get on other partner sites as well. So think of, you know, if you're thinking of a widget, think of a tool that, if you're in the B2B space, think of a tool that might be useful. Like I say, maybe it's some kind of calculator or some interactive object that you know others outside of your company would want to put in their site. And of course, within that, there's a link. Within that widget, there's a link back to you. So Google will like that kind of stuff.
And the users will too, and it's very passive. Just put it on your website, and if it's fun, if it's useful, people will adopt it. You just have to promote that page and make sure that it's visible on your website. Badges are also extremely popular. You've all seen the badges. Twitter does a fabulous job of marketing through badges. So not only does this provide a link back to Twitter, but it also enhances the reputation of those people who adopt these badges and put them on their blogs and their websites, etc. You've all seen the AdWords Qualified Company badge for Google, and probably a lot of the listeners out there have them on their websites. View my profile on LinkedIn, available in the App Store. Same with the others. You just need to make them easy to adopt, and in this case, you want to have a good enough reputation that other people will want to share this reputation and brag about their association with your product or your service. And actually, these badges aren't very difficult to make either. They're very inexpensive to hire someone to do if you can't do it yourself. Just make sure that. Yeah.
I was going to say, sorry, Marjorie, I was going to say we've hit a nerve here because we're getting quite a number of questions, which I'm going to field to you right now. One was, you know, the widgets and probably the badges as well. These widgets may drive traffic, but how good are they for SEO? Can you address that?
For SEO, what you're doing is you're increasing the number of inbound links to your site. So yes, it is most definitely good for SEO.
And it's because these widgets and these badges are actually being put on other people's sites, right? It's not just the fact that it's on your site; they're on other sites, and therefore there's a link coming from that site into yours.
Right, right. And so you can really get a wide distribution of your links.
One other one here, I've heard that reciprocal links are less valuable than one-way links. Do you want to comment on that?
Reciprocal links, there's a great deal of discussion about reciprocal links. They are a lot easier to get than one-way links, so one-way links are more valuable for SEO.
And earlier on, there was, when you were talking about, I think, Obama, I think you mentioned unaffiliated links coming into you, but one question was unaffiliated doesn't mean unrelated. And that is correct. Yeah, you can have unaffiliated groups or sites linking to you, but they could be related to you. And so I think that's that. Okay, we have a couple of others, but I think we should move on. I don't want to slow down the flow here. So we're going from badges to
other ways of being creative. And of course, the best thing to do is to have good, creative, linkable, shareable content. It's still the best way to draw links. And it was in the past, it is now, and it will be in the future. So make sure that you have content that people want to read about and fulfills your user need. And also spend some time making the titles interesting and clickable. Even if it's a dry product, you can write a very, very fun title like this one where Laura June from Engadget linked a keyboard review with zombies attacking. I mean, who wouldn't want to read that? Then you can also disseminate the content through the web through a number of different channels. And the hottest way to do that is still through social media. It is in the past, it is now, it's probably going to stay that way for a while. Dig.com is a great way to get your content out there. Google loves that. You can submit your content to these social media sites and ask your friends, ask your employees to dig that content by voting for it. And you can even hire a marketing company to do that for you. But there's a whole lot of other similar sites out there. And some, like Propeller, still do not employ the no-follow tag, so that's a great use for SEO right there. StumbleUpon uses no-follow tags. However, it does really drive a lot of visitors. So last time I submitted a site to StumbleUpon, I get 14 visitors a month from them from no effort on my part. Photo sharing sites are still a great way to get your content out there or to get just some reputation sharing going. Panoramia can get your images on Google Maps if you have some geolocation aspect to your business. For Flickr is still very good. You can create groups that are like little fan clubs and invite people with similar interests to join. So just be creative. And because there are so many new websites out there that need content, there's this enormous hunger for new content that you can fulfill. And as you can see from this compete graph, there's still a huge amount of traffic that goes to easyinarticles.com, scrib.com, Wikipedia, and these others like Newsvine have kind of settled out, but they're still drawing lots and lots of traffic. And the numbers keep increasing. So there's new stuff out there every day practically.
Marjorie, do you find your clients typically will have in-house writers, or are they outsourcing the writing of it?
I have found that a lot of people have hidden talents. So company CEOs can do this. It doesn't have to be just a web page. It can be an article related to your topic, and just do little kind of subtle references at the very, very end to your website or your product or your company. It doesn't have to be a masterpiece. So also, you can write press releases. Most companies have something going on that they can talk about. New company president, new contracts that were just signed, anything like that. And there's a number of distribution services out there that focus strictly on press releases. And the prices range from free to $49 to $350 for their services and up. Just make sure that you pick one that has tracking and statistics and is SEO friendly, and will give you reporting. This particular one, 24/7, that I've used, also has a little feature where people can email that article to their friends. And as you can see in this reporting screen, that press release was forwarded 141 times. Total impressions, which is how many times the teaser was shown, was 150,000. And the total views of people who clicked through to read the article was 890. And this was for a mere $49. So the more you pay for these services, the more distribution you get. So this is one area where you get what you pay for. But as far as who you know, there are a lot of free ways to get your links out there. If you can develop a relationship with an influential blogger who is within your field, they can really go a long way to helping get your site out there and get your links distributed, your product known, and it's free. Really, all you have to do is develop a good relationship with them, and they will write about your product, write about what's going on in your world, include a link, and then the people who read their blogs will pass this on or write another follow-up article, and et cetera, et cetera. It just cascades and avalanches through the web. But you need to be ready to support their efforts. You need to make sure that any increase in site traffic isn't going to take your server down, for one thing. So you need to maybe know a little bit ahead of time. And this will increase your telephone help, your telephone calls, so make sure that you have someone on the telephone that day. And put it on your homepage. Try to keep it going as long as possible. Interview the blogger. And of all the things you need to do, you need to be very thankful for this blogger for the service they're providing. Send a movie tickets or flowers or something.
I think, as you go through this, it's really apparent, I think, that there's a need for developing an SEO and also social media strategy here, because we've touched on a number of things, and I know there's more to come. But the impact to your organization, this isn't just a one-person effort. You've got somebody who's working on links. There is somebody who could be doing article writing. There's going to be somebody, or maybe the same person, who's going to be going after bloggers. So you really got to come back up to the surface, look at all the options that we're laying out today, and then start thinking about how that's going to impact your organization. Is it going to cause more calls? Then I need to make sure customer service knows about it. Is it going to impact sales? I need to make sure they're talking about it. So this goes the SEO strategy isn't just like a one-off marketing strategy. It's something that affects multiple functions within your organization. And you need to get people in early and get people buying into it before you go ahead and launch some of this, because it can definitely ripple right through, and it could go in the wrong direction if you're not ready for, for example, a server crash if you had a lot of people coming in.
And I'm glad you mentioned the one-off nature of this, because as you can see from this graph, you do get a huge hit when it first comes out within the first 24 hours, and then it does taper off slowly, and there's a little more traffic coming in after that because you've increased awareness, et cetera. But you do have to keep feeding the Internet. You do have to keep sending it out. You don't do it just once and sit back on your laurels. You need to keep going and going.
Yeah, it's funny that the SEO or organic traffic is often called the free traffic, because there's nothing free about this at all. I mean, this is a lot of work behind the scenes to get all this in place. So although the actual click itself, in comparison to like a pay-per-click cost, there's no fee associated with that click, there is a lot of time, effort, labor, etc., involved in getting you to that position and keeping you in that position. So
there is, but it's a really good long-term investment of your money.
Yeah.
If you get 2,000 visits in a day, what would it cost you to buy all that traffic?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you get one influential blogger who's successful, that only costs you flowers or thank you tickets or something like that. So, and then there's the old-fashioned advertising that you can do. Business.com, something that's appropriate to your industry. Angie's List. Business profiles are a really great way to get inbound links from other trusted sources. LinkedIn now has a place where you can create a little page about Pointed or your company. Review sites, Angie's List. I have to tell you that even my vet is into this. He handed me a card thanking me for my services to him, and asked me to write a review on an online website. And this card listed all the ones that he suggested, making it very easy for me. So this is not just enterprise level link building. I mean, everybody's into it now.
Yeah, it's really it's not sophisticated. It's just it's a lot of hard graft, and there's a lot of places to put those links. You just have to go out and do them.
That's right. And the goal, the best way to do this is to create some content that will go viral. And you've probably heard this term before, but going viral means that it's content that is released into the web, and it just takes on a life of its own. people send links to their friends who send links to their friends, and who knows, everybody's talking about it at lunch and on the telephone, and they're all saying, hey, did you see this? This is really, really cool. And to create this, you need to really know your audience, and it doesn't have to cost you a whole lot of money, and you need to soft pedal the link back to your site. This is not a hard sell. First of all, you have to make it interesting and share-worthy, as I mentioned before. And I love to talk about Matthew Inman, who just does a brilliant job of doing inexpensive, viral link building for his Mingle social matching blog. And he's done fun things like this, 10 reasons it would rule to date a unicorn. Other things like the 8 phases of dating and 9 reasons not to date a T-Rex, which everybody loves to share and has been a really impressive and brilliant way to go viral. And then there are new ways. Always there are new things coming up. Twitter is so popular. And for those of you who don't know what retweeting is, it's a very popular way in Twitter to copy and paste other people's posts and send them out to all those people who are on your follow list. So what you need to do if you're targeting retweeting is to have a strong call to action, like this one is sign this petition, and you just ask. Be polite about it, but ask people to retweet. And make sure that you tweet at a reasonable time. You know, don't be sending this out at midnight Eastern Standard Time and expecting that a lot of people will see it. And in fact, this is now such a popular way to use Twitter that Twitter has announced that it's going to add a feature that will make it very easy by like clicking a button and you can retweet something. And make sure you use the tiny URL or a service that will shorten a link so that you don't take up a whole lot of valuable character space as you do this. Now, it's not only what you build, but sometimes opportunity just falls out of the sky, and you have to be willing to take advantage of this. There was a great wedding entrance video that went viral not so long ago, JK wedding entrance dance, and this was just kind of a homespun video on YouTube of a very, very cool wedding entrance dance. And they happened to use Chris Brown's song Forever. And this was unapproved use of their song, but it was so popular that instead of asking YouTube to take down this video for its unapproved use of the song, Chris Brown's people decided to leave it up, and instead they added a link to Amazon where people could buy the song. And thanks to this foresightedness and quick action, this song that was originally released in 2008 has recently climbed to number 4 in the iTunes single chart. And Chris Brown hardly had to do anything. J&K also took advantage of this sudden popularity, and they had a friend build a website, and they asked for donations to their favorite charity. So good on them for also taking advantage of it, and I hope their charity did well.
Well, Marjorie, we have all this, we've done a lot of our SEO, we have a lot of traffic coming in, and this is one of my favorite parts, is actually doing the analysis. And so when I'm analyzing traffic, whether it's pay-per-click or whether it's organic traffic, one of the first things I'm looking at is the bounce rate. For example, I want to look at the bounce rate of the referring sites for the SEO traffic, for the keywords that have been driving the business, and also what the top entry pages are and what the bounce has been on those. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to drive traffic that comes to, it's still a landing page, although it's not your typical pay-per-click landing page, and I want people to take an action there. I want them to be able to find what they're looking for and then take an action. And so it's really important using tools like Google Analytics to be able to go and look and see what the bounce rate of each of those entry points is. If you find, for example, that it's, a lot of people are just bouncing straight out again, you know that you're not providing what they're looking for. Sounds obvious, but I often find clients they do have pages with high bounce rates and nothing's been done about it. And the question I get often is, well, what's a good bounce rate? And it's kind of like, how long is a piece of string? There is no real answer because it varies so much from client to client. But what I always recommend is, when you're doing these kind of metrics like bounce rate, just get a starting point, put a stake in the ground today, and then you can pretty much guarantee that if you do something, you're going to move it forward and you're going to shrink that bounce rate. So a real important thing to look at. Keywords, really important to focus on the keywords that are ultimately you're using to drive conversions. When you start your SEO, keep in mind it's not just about getting number one ranking for those specific keywords or getting on page one, but you also want to make sure those keywords actually do convert. So you might find that you do have keywords, you're on page one, they come in and nothing's happening. Is the keyword bad? Could be. I mean, maybe the keyword is such that it's not a sort of buy type keyword. It's more of a browse type keyword. However, don't always blame the keyword. Look at the page. Is the page giving people what they're looking for? And more importantly, is the page doing or pushing the user to do what you want them to do? In other words, fill out a lead gen form, ask for a white paper, ask for a webinar, sign up, something like that. But, it goes to, where do you start SEO? If you're doing paid search, then you already have keywords and you know which keywords are going to drive traffic and which are already converting to leads or sales. So use them as a starting point. If you're just starting from brand new, from scratch, then the best thing is just to get the keywords, is just to analyze that traffic right from the get-go, see what's working, see what's not, and then adjust from there. But the best advice is to set up measurement goals today and then start tracking your performance as you go forward.
Hey, Frank, this sounds like a great way to address your CEO who is banging around on Google and says, what do we do here? These keywords that I'm entering aren't number one.
Don't we love those ones, Marjorie? Yeah, we've had a couple of good calls in that. Yeah, so what happens is we'll have done an SEO project, and then we'll get a call from the marketing manager who says, oh man, my CEO is busting my chops today because he just put in a keyword and we're not showing up and our competitors are, the sky's falling, etc. So it's really important, when you do start SEO and you start optimizing for keywords, it's essential to educate others on what you're optimizing and why, so that when they go and search in other terms, they will know that that's not a relevant term, and this SEO effort you've been doing is not being wasted effort. What will typically happen is the CEO will pop in a term, will enter a term, maybe related to his competitors. He finds they're there, you're not, and if you've done your keyword homework, you're going to be able to tell them, yes, we know about the keyword. It actually doesn't have a lot of searches, and we can't cover every keyword in the universe. We've selected this group of keywords because we know we get traffic and we know we get conversions from them. And then you can show the CEO, your list, because you're measuring it every month, of those keywords, of where you are, where you rank, and then if your systems are set up really well, you can then show what sales have originated from those keywords. So don't be put off when the CEO does do something. If you've done your SEO homework, you know your keywords, you're going to be able to have it's going to be a very easy response to it. If he says, well, hey, I do want to be ranked for those terms, well, the door's just open for more SEO work and more SEO funding, which you can then use to expand your list of keywords, expand your optimization. So it can be a good thing. I've seen that actually happen. Testing, just as we do for pay-per-click, you do want to be testing the various elements on your page. It could be that SEO landing page. You may need to change buttons. You need to change text. It might also be the things like the meta description. So the meta description, just so everyone knows, that's the text that will show up on the organic listing on the left-hand side when you do a Google search. Those are all meta descriptions, and if you put in a keyword, maybe in your business, in your industry, put in a keyword, look at what people have as their meta descriptions, and you'll see that most of them are awful. The meta descriptions should be written in a way that entices somebody to click on that link and come to your site. So you want to think of it as an ad. You want to have a headline, a real catchy headline, like the top 10 ways to improve your enterprise storage, or whatever, something like that. Make it enticing text so people will click. And test. So what you're doing basically is you're setting up the measurements. You're testing as you go along. You have some wins. You have some did really well, some didn't. You improve, and you continue that cycle. It's very similar to what we do in pay-per-click. The same thing applies in SEO. It applies actually through any kind of through a lot of direct marketing. Same types of testing and improvement principles. So Marjorie, we've got this knowledge today. We feel I'm sure some people might feel like they're drinking from the fire hose. Okay, we're pausing for a moment, but what do we do to make sure that we stay on top of this thing? Because it's always moving, as you mentioned.
Oh yeah, this is a field where you have to keep on top of things. So as you said, there is a fire hose of information, so you really need to be selective about the information that you digest. And there are some blogs that I would recommend, SEOmoz.org. Matt Cutts, who is an engineer at Google, has an SEO focus. And I also like SEObythesea.com, which talks about upcoming patents and has more of an analytical view on the search engine. You can also follow SEO experts on Twitter. You can follow me. You can follow Pointed. You can just search for SEO and find people who might contribute value every day through Twitter. And also, as you're doing, because you're very smart people, you go to webinars like this one. But be selective again. Go with something that's at your level. If you're a beginner, you need to look for that. Don't waste your time on something that's over your head. And go to conferences. Same thing with conferences. Some are advanced, some are for beginners. But that's a great way to go, and you can talk to people there. You can pigeon your favorite keynote speaker afterwards, and there's always after-conference parties where you can get your questions asked. So talk to the people that you really respect there. Susan Moskwa, Rand Siskin, they're all very approachable people. And who knows, you could even run into Frank Arai there. And I'm very approachable. I don't know about Frank. He's kind of a mean guy sometimes.
Yeah, it depends on the time of the week.
Go ahead, Frank.
I was going to say between midnight and 6 a.m. I'm not very approachable.
So do your networking, do your homework, but and keep on top of things. But don't believe everything that you hear. Yes, study the patent applications, keep abreast of trends, read. If CNN is saying something about search engines, it's pretty important. The patent applications are generally based on technologies that the search engines have already tested and think that there's a very good chance that they'll implement these changes. And Google Experimental Labs is something that you might want to keep an eye on because they're testing some of these things already. And you kind of get a future view of what might be coming down the pipeline. But then again, as I said, take in the fire hose selectively, but test things out yourself. Don't believe everything you hear. Be from Missouri, be critical, find out what works for you. And as I promised, we have some resources for further information. SEO Moz has a great whiteboard Friday about what is domain trust and authority, and they go into a very deep dive. For more information about web metrics and particularly Google Analytics, I would recommend anything by Avinash Kaushik. He's a great presenter, and every time I see him, I learn something new. And of course, there's our own Pointed blog, which you can find on our website.
Okay, well, hey, Marjorie, thanks for a great presentation this morning. We have a couple of remaining questions here. One is PPC keyword performance data useful for targeting keywords in SEO? And let me see, there are two places I go when I'm looking at SEO keywords. One is definitely PPC. The great thing about PPC is you know from that, if you've been tracking conversions, you know what works, what doesn't. So that will really help build a good keyword list. The other place I go is I go to the server logs for the website, because you're going to see all, you can see all the keywords for, you can go back about a year or so, or maybe even longer, that people have used to come into your site. I combine the two, and then I start, that's my starting point for SEO. So yeah, PPC keyword performance is really good. One gentleman commented about the Monroe squirrel widget, Marjorie, and he said, if I add Monroe's widget, how does that help my SEO? It just links to them.
Well, certainly. It does improve the number of inbound links to their website, and it's a bit viral, so it's fun enough that people might want to pass it to their friends who would also install it. And what helps SEO, and we didn't go into this too deeply here, is the link popularity throughout the web. It's not just how many links are coming into your site, as I mentioned, it's where they come from and how they're distributed, but the number of sheer links also helps.
So having a link in your, are you saying that having some level of outbound links is going to help you too? I mean, I can see where the guy's coming from. By putting Monroe widget on my site, I'm helping the squirrel. But what am I getting out of it?
Oh, I see. Yes. Well, hopefully if you have it on your website, then it's somehow related to your topic. So this will reply relevant contextual topics for the search engine.
Right.
Also, outbound links also help too. And in fact, there's some talk that in future, in the newest version of Google that is coming out, Google Caffeine, that outbound links may contribute more to your authority.
Yeah, I've seen that as well, where if there are authority sites out there that let's suppose you're in the medical business and you're doing something on back pain. Well, if you had links to like the Mayo Clinic, for example, Google does. Google likes those kind of links because it shows that you're providing resources to your to your audience, people coming to your site. I wouldn't make them too visible. I usually bury them down in the site, but they certainly don't hurt. But I think the overall purpose of the Monroe widget example was actually to create a widget yourself, have that out there on other sites, and have them linking into you. So, but I do see where that question came from. Now, a final one I have here, it was about Wikipedia. The question is, I was curious about Wikipedia. Would you have a suggestion for keeping the information so that someone doesn't mark it as self-promotion?
Now, by self-promotion, I presume that you mean that this is your company profile.
Yeah, let's suppose we put pointed on Wikipedia, and can it be marked by somebody as, oh, this is just self-promotion, and is there a way to prevent that?
It all depends on how you write it, really. If you are doing a hard sell, well, probably Wikipedia won't post it because everything needs to be approved by editors. So it needs to be factual. Remember, this is an encyclopedia that is open to everyone to write in, so you need to keep that in mind. Here again, you need to soft pedal.
Okay, Marjorie, awesome webinar this morning. Appreciate all your insights. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed it. As I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, There will be an email out in the next few days with a link to this so you can listen to it at your leisure or forward it on to somebody else. As always, if you have questions, you can certainly email me, frankc@pointed.com, or marjories@pointed.com as well. Thanks again for your time, everybody, and have a good rest of the day.